got next.
All right.
Good day and welcome back once again as we are live and direct with another episode of I Got Next Street Fighter Community Podcast discussion hosted by myself, Shadow Ace, aka Modern Ace, and Sir Retro, aka the Mayor of Macon, holding it down on production. And this is the season finale of season 4, 15 episodes in total. For our longest season so far to date, we've been at this for about 4 years now. And man, time is moving, man. But
Mm.
today, on the show today, we're just, kicking it old school because it's just me and Sir Retro closing out the season here. Season 5, who knows? The sky is the limit. But before we get started, we want to remind you, as always, if you missed out on a previous episode, please feel free to check them out on Reboot Retrocade Gaming's YouTube channel and then select the tab that's labeled podcast for that season 1 through 4 playlist with full episodes all available on there. Over 50 hours worth of different interviews and topics. Your listening pleasure, whether you're cleaning up the house or cleaning up somebody in Street Fighter. Go on a podcast real quick and enjoy the vibes. With that being said, my name is Shadow Ace, one half of the Street Fighter I Got Next team who collabs and moderates these discussions. And I've been a competitive Street Fighter player over 15 years, starting all the way back to Vanilla Street Fighter 4 as my introduction into the fighting game community. Played El Fuerte in 4, Ed in Street Fighter 5, and now Jamie in Street Fighter 6. A commentator, TO, player, podcaster, a man of many hats. And speaking of someone who wears just as many hats is Sir Retro. Sir Retro, introduce yourself to the good people. How you doing today?
Well, I've been busy. I've been tired. I've been through a lot. But I'm here. And it's crazy to say that because all this evening, or rather today, or actually this weekend, reminding of myself about this season, we are at the final episode of the 4th season. Not the first, not the second, and not the third, not the fourth. But before we go into that, well, I am so retro, the other half of the I Got Next podcast crew, alongside Shadow Ace. course, specifically, I'm mainly focused on the Middle Georgia area as a TO, head TO, commentator, coach, um, collaborator of sorts, involved in the scene for 10 plus years, played Street Fighter for competitive Street Fighter for almost just as many. Mainly Street Fighter 5, I played G and Alex, and Street Fighter 6, I played DJ. So, of course, with all the roles that I just aforementioned and so forth, definitely have been very busy, been everywhere. Yeah, excited to discuss with my homie um, on the last episode of our season 4, which to me it feels a little bit surreal to say that because of so much has happened and time has went past over the years. So many topics, so many guests, so many interesting discussions, some deep moments, some happy moments, some sad moments, some good moments overall. So yes, Shadow Ace, here we are, and I'm proud to say thank you once again to the viewers, to the supporters, to the subscribers, to everyone who followed even for my personal channel. Thank you for the almost 300 followers. Um, for supporting the series overall, and thank you guys so much for tuning in when you can. And even if you're not here on live, you tune into our archives, the day after or so forth, and that shows a lot of support. You retweet our stuff, you like our stuff, you ask at times, hey, I want to be a guest here and there. Thank you guys so much. Major thank you once again.
Appreciate it, man. Couldn't do this without the support of the followers. In addition to just me and Retro collaborating and making sure these podcasts happen. And here we now are. We're fast forward, 4 years, since the start of the COVID era. We've been just doing this podcast, man, hosting it over time. A time when everyone was kind of locked into the homes and people were taking precautions and trying to figure out what was going on with the world. We just we held that down for this podcast, but we are with the series, called I Got Next. For today's episode, we're reviewing season 4. We'll talk about a couple of things here on our minds. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Let's start off with that season 4 review,
Okay.
if it were, man. Retro, did you have a favorite episode from season 4?
Dang, you know what? I should have looked at that. Well, I can look in our chat right here of all the list of guests that we had. Or even better, I can look through my little archives of who we had. I think the most interesting and the most I think because of the amount of people who were our guests. I think was it this season? We had 4 guests. We had Challenger, Basilic. Who's the other 2?
Sage Platinum,
Yep,
and Banana Ox.
Yeah, Banana. Yep. Yeah, those 4.
Yeah.
Having really a good discussion about especially for them, many of them be relatively new to the scene, and definitely getting involved with the esports and being careful about how to come up in this world. And that was a good real life lesson moment for them to discover, to learn, but also to at least speak about their experiences. And it was really cool to see all 4 of them got a chance to express themselves in different ways. And the more, for me, I don't mind having a lot of viewers, a lot of guests, because the more guests, the more different views that you get, and the more you learn from those different views. And I think that was my favorite part about it, and one of my favorite parts, especially about the season. And I think that was like episode 6 or 7, because I know like early on, which is like to me which is weird, because like I said, 15 episodes. We have so many episodes, and I'm like losing track. It's hard for me to say that because I couldn't believe we were that far. But yes, that's one of my favorite episodes of the series, or of the season so far. And yes, I'll say even one of the series too.
Okay. Okay. Well, once again, do want to thank everyone, all of our special guests from season 4 who decided to grace us with their presence and talk to us about a few things, topics here and there. And of course, over time, things change, events change, things happen. So it's always good to see that refreshing update when another new episode comes out and we can address a topic that is current there. So I'll just go over, some of the guests we ended up talking with, just like a quick summary of what the episode was about there. So one of our first episodes was with Buddy Like Friend. Like I think he kicked us off for season 4. Big shout out, to Buddy Like Friend. He puts in so much effort here for his ATL Street Fighter 16 hosting and promoting events. He always has a good supportive group around him every time I see him during events, and just overall just has great energy and is excited to just go and be a part of the community. You just can't teach that level of passion. That has to come from the heart. So he definitely does care about his scene, and also salute the 404 Esports, which is like the home base for a lot of the ATO events, bringing in the new players and teaching them the game and building up the scene from there. So it was great to have Buddy kick us off with the show with his energy. He had a lot of really insightful things to say about how he felt about the topics that we discussed at the hand. So again, guys, if you missed out on that episode or want to go back to hear what Buddy had to say, please feel free to do so. Um, so Joel, our next episode, we was talking with Joel, right? Very insightful, very passionate, man. Like he was on here twice. He had 2 episodes. He had a part 1 and a part 2. He had a part 1 and part 2. He's like, man, if you guys want to have me back, man, just let me know. Then months later, we hit him up and he's like, all right, bet, let's run it back. We got the part 2 Joel episode. I mean, it was very, very insightful. Getting him to talk about what he thinks about the mentality of players in today's meta. 2025. It gave you a sense of, damn, I didn't think about it like that. So it was good to hear from him. Plus, he predicted Blast.
That
The
man,
young Ryu player
that man
cooking.
was gushing over
He
Blast.
he predicted that. That's crazy.
Oh yeah, we'll talk
And
about it
what
because
happened like this week? Yeah.
yeah, we'll talk
Okay.
about that because when we get to a later topic, because Blast did something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but go on.
Yeah. And I like what just happened like a week or so ago. And he went like TNS and like got top 8 at combo breaker. 2025. And he's
Yes.
just getting started. And what did the Joel say during that interview? He said, not beating the kid. He has nothing but time on his hands. Don't you got a 401k, health insurance, bills? You're not beating this
Nope.
kid. I was like,
Yeah, and then
I
like
like what he said that he got time on his hands, man. He only's gonna get better. But he wasn't wrong. And he actually did predict that. So hey, there you go. Big shout outs to Joel for joining us here. And then I think we talked to Reedus this season. So, shout out to Salt Mine League, all the way from Germany. I think that was our first time going overseas for an episode. Like our first trip of us going overseas, we got to talk a chance to talk with the community leader and learn about the history of the Salt Mine League. One of the most prestigious online events out there. So that was an honor. I have to apologize to readers though because of all the time zone, because of our time zone differences, he usually asks me to try to like commentate some of the Alt Mine League events, but either I'm working or like I'm sleeping. So I like, man, one day, Regis, I got you, I'll do a Salt Mine League event. I know it's been a while, but these events, they have some of the biggest names entering weekly. Like they got Problem X, they got Endon Walker, Kills You, Rika Men's Barnett. Like on occasion, I'm still the daddy. Like what you're saying, bruv. Like, and they always hit over 30 entrants each time for what I've seen in their events, and I can only imagine how it's gonna how it's gonna pop off after the Lena patch and then season 3. So
yeah,
shout out to that. That was our first international episode.
yeah, to be honest, like the more I keep like we get guests in there, I just want to just go there. I'd rather just go to the EU events because even from like the social media talking about the tournaments, it's quite an amazing experience for out here. So we just go, like we just take a trip, man.
Just go to experience it. But yeah, it was good to hear like the different cultures that go on around the states. And again, everybody has that same passion of just getting together and pressing some buttons. But then we talked with Hispanic at the disco. The king, Disco is just he's just a cool guy, man. He's another passionate and dedicated to his craft individual who puts out weekly content and is constantly building the stream team battle community as well, man. Shout out to, Spilly Bob, Strongest Woman, Turbs, Hoisterino, Mosh Pit, Messiah, and everyone else that make it happen. And it's a popping over there, man. Some of the making guys even played in their events before, I believe. I know it was me and Chato teaming up, bringing the pain with Modern. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, man, it's a really, really fun events over there on the stream team side of things. So, shout out to Hispanic, the Disco for making that, being the anchor and, leading that ship there for the stream team league. And then your episode, I think this is one of your favorite episodes. Saying it earlier, how we were talking with that group, right? The Team TTG.
Yeah, yeah,
That,
yeah, yeah,
yo, that episode. You know what, Retro? I'm glad that you called that out because
yeah.
that was actually going to be one of my favorite episodes, to be
Oh,
honest,
okay.
too, as well. That's wild to think about. And we're gonna tell. And I'll tell you why. Retro always said why for his end, but I'm going with this one as one of my favorites because this
Go
was the
for it.
first time that we had talked to an entire team at once, right? Like there was
Yeah.
we ended up winning the Stream Team League, organization in a championship, right? With the other, competing against other teams as well, and we
Right,
ended up
right.
winning in the finals. It was a clean sweep, and we did work. So the aftermath of that, we were offered, contracts to go and play and compete under the banner of them. But there was a situation that occurred, and we all decided to part ways with this particular company, and that looked to sponsor us as team players for them, and it was pretty bad. You'd have to listen to that episode to give you a little bit more information and context, but it did give us a look at behind the scene things on how some of the esports organizations are. So you got to be careful
Right,
with them.
right.
So that's why you kind of wonder when you see players with like under different sponsorship tags, like maybe every 2 3 months or so nowadays, you kind of wonder why. Like what happened with the old sponsor. That kind of give that kind of gave us a little insight into what goes on behind it. But it ain't always sunshine and rainbows. That's all I can tell you right now. So again, if you guys want to hear the full story on that, you got to check out the Team TTG episode, man. It's kind of crazy. I ain't gonna lie. But let me see. That being said, we will move on to the next one. We were talking with Big Bates and Painbot. You know,
And the
Big Bates
Christmas
and Painbot, the
episode.
dynamic
Christmas.
duo, themselves. They return once again, man. It's always a treat speaking with these guys because they're very knowledgeable. About a lot of the FGC related topics and always provide good insight about things. So basically, literally any episode we have done with them on this, you're gonna learn something about the workings of the FGC. Plus, all of them made top three. All three of us ended up making top three at Maximo for Ultra Street Fighter 4. So it was cool
Uh huh.
too. We know about some buttons, man. So they'll definitely put you on game about some inner workings and how they feel about it. They're very very expressive too. They're very expressive players. There. So shout out to Big Bates and Painbot. Um, and our next guest we had was King Giovanni. So King Gio, I'm looking at the list right now. So
Oh
King
yeah.
Gio, if I remember, um, Costa Gio, he was the one man with the battle plan because he hosts a variety of different events over in his Discord, and it's always been taken off because of the amount of outreach and communication he has been doing to get people to sign up. And I wish him nothing but success over there. He does like leagues, ran back, etc. But he does them in a unique way of his own style. So good stuff to him for that. So we got to talk to him about a few things on there. We had FTC Chris, FTC
Yep.
Chris, one of our day ones, is all the way back to season one retro.
Yep. Definitely.
Dang, Doug, that's a throwback, man. Uh, so what more can I say, man? He tunes in when he can, but it's been overdue for him to get his own episode, and we finally made it happen in season four. So he talked a good bit about his origins and why it's important to support artists and vendors at events. Hopefully he's in line to get his character for season three or season four. He wants the got for Street Fighter Six. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll see if that pans out for him one day. But yeah, big shout outs to FGC Chris, man, for making it happen. So this next one, these next three, I'll go over real quick, Ted. Oh boy. All right, well, I just want to get this one out the way. So we had the good bad brother on the show, Retro. We had good bad brother. I guess this is. I mean, it automatically is going to have to qualify for the top three episodes. It has to. We had the Team TTG one, and then now we got this one. That's an automatic qualification because what can I say? It was a good bad show.
It literally was.
Now
It's so
this was
good.
mm-hmm. That was, I've never had an experience. We never had an experience like that on the show before, man. It was this was the first. The first time someone told us, host of the podcast, what we were gonna talk about. That's crazy. Then came in with his magic notebook and made his topics, be known that he was gonna talk to us about. He posted it up in advance. He let us know what the agenda was. It was like 10 or 12 listed things. I'm like, yo. And then apparently it sets a record because it's supposed to be our most viewed episode of the season, our longest episode of the season. But he don't want to be famous, huh? Nah, 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 nah. You are a Hollywood brother, whether you like it or not. You know what I'm saying? You can't just go around and say, "Hey guys, look, I just beat up Snake Eyes in rank. Check my replay." Hey guys, look what Chris G is saying about me. Nah, 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 nah. These are not normal, normal based reactions. These are Hollywood actions. Good bad, okay? Shout out to Good Bad because he is the founder and CEO of the Good Bad Agency who coordinates with Untamed Gaming's Jaco Man with finding opponents for the Tuesday Street Fighter Six exhibition series that go down at 7 p.m. Eastern on DJ Vesta's Twitch channel. So he did his thing, man. He did his thing. He just he keeps declining that he's Hollywood, and we just let him know that he is Hollywood. That's all. That's all, yo. Just to tell him not to fight the funk, man.
Yeah. Well,
All right.
go for it.
So next one we had was we were talking with that master. We talked to that master. The Thunderhawk of North Carolina. Master has been around for a long time in the FGC, even back in the younger age days when I used to visit North Carolina for some of their events via the Data Travel Van to play in their tournaments. And when Final Round existed, it was always a good time. So him being on the show was dope. And we got to get his takes on a couple of things and the origins of his name. So that was that master episode. Then one of our last episodes from the season is we were talking with Nintendo, aka Nintendo 64. That was a good episode, but I will say the truth reveal part made me go, huh?
Oh my
Because it
god.
wasn't what I thought it was gonna be. I was like, that's it. I was a little sad about it because I thought I thought it was gonna be something that game changing. I thought it was gonna be
So
something
anticlimactic.
world renowned changing, yo. Damn, but
I made that intro and
yeah,
everything for nothing. Man.
he made it. Oh, that's what I'm thinking. I thought this was gonna change the entire landscape as we know it,
Bro.
but he just said something that was just common. I'm like, that's it. All that work Retro done did. All right, but I guess that was his truth. He shared it with us. So there it was. So if you guys want to hear what it was, you got to check out that episode, see what was going on. He shared a very unique collection of art and figurines with us, and he made like Street Fighter original character with an interesting concept, that whole water thing that it had going on. So if you guys want to hear what that concept was, you can go back to Talk to the Kendo or check out that episode for more information. But yeah, that was all of our guests for season 4, man. Retro, what you think about it? What you think about the guests that we had on here?
Yeah, I think overall the guest that we had here was I learned a lot. A lot of interesting perspectives. I want to say we got a nice like mixture of young and seasoned veterans, people, players, and guests from all over, and it really helps open a lot. And we actually had a lot of discussions, and a lot of debates too, because the biggest one, which one of the topics we talked about later online, was like the classic versus modern controls, or the stuff you want to see for season 3, and or the changes or
Mhm.
systemic changes and how people feel about the mechanics of the game. So it really was a lot of that was like a current reoccurring over time. So I like how the guests did have like a divided like taste or divided opinion on it, which makes it really make it entertaining, but also makes it very informative in a way where hey, I don't like Drive Rush, or I like Drive Rush because this and that third, and like what, I've not thought in that way, or why you don't like esports, or why do you think esports works this way, or why modern you think is a good thing, or why not a good thing, and really cool. It's really cool to see that dynamic relationship. I think that was the biggest thing. I think I said was dynamic relationship for all the guests that we had across the board. It was never a boring discussion, regardless. So I definitely enjoyed it. Even more from. Oh yeah, we are working on that. First 10, but yes, on the board, regardless from the topic. Like every topic was always something that we're talking about, and it led to an interesting discussion. And in the end, you had a lot to think about. So, and the guests did amazing in expressing themselves. That makes you want to think. So I want to thank to all the guests who appeared in this season for sure. So that's pretty much my best overall um, remark on that.
Oh, for sure, man. We definitely do appreciate that. Again, this season was a little longer than our previous ones. I think the other ones had like up to 10 and maybe 12 episodes, but this one went all the way to 15. So yeah, this was definitely our longer season. And just something you don't really pay too much attention to, because over time, you're doing your own thing. You got your own things going on in life, and you just, you're working as normal, and then all of a sudden you blink and you flash forward, and then now you had a season finale of something that you started like almost a year ago. So it's just it's just wild to think about the time that the concept of time of how fast it just moves forward. You blink and you're just like right there. So um regardless though, man, shout out to everybody that tuned in. Do have something special planned after this so we'll see what happens later on. But right now, let me go ahead and get into our next topic here. You did mention this about the predictions of how people may think what
Mm-hmm.
season, what the Alina patch is going to bring to the table in quite a few days. I mean, we got about what three more days until the world changes. Does the world change on June 5th, 2025?
Yeah.
It's we are just a few days away from the final season 2 character release, and with it comes a brand new patch, the Alina patch, as it's being called, and there are going to be some changes that get included for all characters. Some might get some new combos, and others get toned down a bit. Like, which characters do you think are gonna get buffed and nerfed? Retro.
Hmm. Um, you know what? It was for me. It's more about the system mechanics that I'm thinking I'm more focused on than the characters, because I think the characters are going to get affected by the mechanics, and that's going to affect potentially the tier versus the character like getting some buffs and nerfs. Which I mean that is going to happen regardless. But I think the bigger effect is going to be the mechanics, because that's a lot of the huge speculation has been for the past few months and beyond, if anything. Um, but if there were characters that were to get something changed, I could probably see mm, maybe Jamie, um, maybe maybe Zangief,
Yeah.
maybe. It's just that I have to really try to think about what specifically, because for me, like something like Jamie might get something because I know for the longest time he's considered like low tier, and he struggles in some cases. The thing, my big speculation that we might potentially see a new move or something will get added. That's my because the way that things have happened, like at Evo Japan, they didn't. They only could play Elena in that patch from what I saw, and then of course Chato was there, and you only can have an idea of what will happen for the game. Um, or at least in mechanic wise, by seeing what seeing the results of Elena was doing, but the characters were omitted. So I'm wondering, if it's been like 2 years pretty much since the game came out, and of course as Street Fighter Five, how Season 3, well, Arcade Edition, there was some new changes for like altogether, new moves, V Trigger 2, that type of stuff, was being implemented. I'm not sure that will happen for this game, but if characters get a new move or unique attack or something like that, Jamie, I can see that, maybe a new way to dodge fireballs, or I can see Lily getting something else too, and Zangief. But that's pretty much what I can think about for characters. The mechanics though is where I'm really more is you saw with it in the video proof. Now you see what happens when you get throw tech and you tech the throw. You get
Okay.
a meter back. That's going to change a lot for the situation. So characters that get prone to get thrown a lot, and you start using text with them and get meter back, that's going to be scary. Um, I can see Zangief can benefit from that. I can see characters. Oh, DJ. Oh yes, DJ would benefit from that. So because I can just like tech throws and I just get my meter back, I'll bet. Cool. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like they're I don't that could be their solution to the throw loops in the game, but you kind of have to think twice a little bit, especially if your opponent is sitting at 2 bars and they're just about to get the third one, and if they take the throw, they get the meter immediately for the level 3. Now it's like, dang, dog, if I didn't go for that, if I didn't go for that throw, they wouldn't have had level 3. And then now they
Yep.
just hit confirmed, and then they get the level 3 off, and then boom, now the round is lost because you tried to throw 'em. Because you tried to throw. That's what happened. And then also that on top of that, you get the drive gauge back too as well. So that's another thing. So
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
we'll
That's what I'm talking
see.
about. The
I
drive.
mean,
Yeah. Because like DJ, Lily, characters are like power, like drive hungry, and they need a lot of drive meter, to do a lot. Oh yeah, they're gonna thrive well. So you have to like not put yourself to try to throw them a lot, because once they start defending with throw text, and like someone like literally gonna
mhm.
have the meter back. Oh, I never spent all my meter using spending all the wind stuff. Okay, oh, I got another bar meter. Bet, let me go again. It's gonna be. Oh my gosh, she'll be a little bit more annoying. So I will not try to throw her, especially if they know that they're gonna start throw tech and get their meter back. This is gonna be stupid.
Yeah, you got to second. You got to kind of like got it now. I mean, like characters who have trouble dealing with the pressure on wake up, and somebody tries to like just throw them. Like you don't wanna give your opponent more meter for sure. So and especially it becomes even dangerous. Like I said before, like it becomes super dangerous when your opponent is almost about to get 3 bars. You don't want to give a grappler, command grab grappler, or a grappler that type of information because if they get that, then damn, that you might be in trouble. So I would say that is very interesting change. I think there was also change with modern now for modern players. They get access to the second set of air normals now because they have a jump. You can use a jump assist get that. So that opens up some new combos and that makes certain characters better because the normals that they had before they were terrible, but now that they get the access to the rest of their better normals, I think it's going to make some of the modern characters be better. So they inadvertently buffed modern. That's all I got to say for right now. I don't know why Capcom did it, but they did it. There you go. But yeah, there was also some quality of life changes that will be introduced as well into the patch as well, like they did the score display layout thing. And then I wonder if you noticed that. I wonder if anybody else at home noticed this. This is something I immediately noticed when they showed it off. Um, I I saw that they got the Tekken 7 character select screen portraits now, and I just thought about it. I feel like we might be getting a second character in season 3 because that layout, if you compare the layout between the new character select portraits, I mean the character versus portraits and Tekken 7, they have the exact same square and exact same red and black background. I don't know if anybody else noticed that. Was I the only one, Retro?
Huh. Now,
Yeah.
I will admit I have not peeped that specifically. I should have looked a little more closely, but I was more worried about the
Hmm.
systemic changes. But yes, but no, I heard people was talking about is maybe rumors of a Tekken guest character as so, but I did not know that was probably was the product or the result of seeing that character like slot change.
Yeah. They added that into like for new customization option for the versus screen now. So I just thought that was like, this looks very similar. It was interesting to see like the Lena build at Evo Japan. Like I know no other characters were playable, so people were just going off of speculation as to what new system changes were. The drive parry change, of course, like we said before, you can take a grab and recover some drive gauge and gain super meter. But I feel like there's something else. It feels like I feel like the biggest change I was looking at for an answer to was probably going to be the drive rush, but I didn't. There was nothing there. There was no reports there. They didn't show anything about the costumes yet either. So that was another thing that people have been screaming and begging for months and months and months for Capcom to release is the costumes. Apparently, that's going to affect the gameplay for sure. So they want costumes. And they tired of the Avatar people eating all the time and getting every costume in the world. So, I would think they would have did the same thing last year, where they released all of the DLCs characters, their second outfit, with the last character to come out. And then you got Summer Games Fest that weekend too. June 6th, right? I think.
Yeah, Capcom was one of
Um,
the partners for
yeah,
that one.
yeah. So in that instance, with Summer Game Fest around the corner, like something tells me we're not getting a season 3 trailer there. It can't be retro. I mean, they probably doing like their other games, going off of their other games.
You never know.
I don't know. Akami 2, Resident Evil, Onimusha, etc. They got a couple other things they could show us. I don't think, or would they? Hmm.
Capcom could be a little sneaky sometimes. They've been
Okay.
quiet already. Like they've been very quiet with up to now about the potential patch, and people were like, "Hey, are we going to get anything about the patch details?" And like,
Mm.
nope. Here's a new music. Here's a new avatar thing or whatever. So I'm sure they have a lot up their sleeve because it's not like they haven't been like twiddling their thumbs the whole time. Things have been happening. Cause I'm sure they have to develop the characters and develop like the concept and arts and everything, and then confirm
Mm.
how they're going to market and release it. So and the Capcom has always been about surprises at times. So I'm definitely, for sure, will be confident you say that we'll have something presented for us for this summer game fest at least. So
Yeah, if not the trailer, maybe like some concept art or like yeah, some concept art to show us what could be coming in for the season 3. But the fact that they waited, I mean, I guess it makes sense. Like this to showcase everything. You kind of see them day by day added in these hey, new feature, quality of life update. This is what's gonna come for the Lena patch when she releases. And they were just doing that daily. So I think then that's gonna be the case is what they're gonna do this week before she releases. They say, hey, this is what's gonna come out along with Elena once she's released. I'm very confident that it's gonna be a costumes. They're gonna say, in addition to the Lena patch, we also have costumes, and maybe that could have been another reason why the characters were locked at Evo because costumes were already released, and they didn't want people to see what they were. See, yeah, something to think about. Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, and they want nobody else to select the other content that was already unlocked. So we could be seeing the costume trailer sometime this week if they're gonna do that. But But yeah, yes, Lena builds out in a few days, and everybody gets to experiment and see what's going on, see what the new patch is going to bring to the table, see who gets changed. I can't wait for the day one, week one tier lists to be all over the timeline on what people think the characters are going to be. So yeah, there it is, man. But before we move on to the next topic, anything else you got for that one, Retro?
No, of course, we already talked about the characters that we want to see for if they do release something for the season
Oh yeah,
three.
like for the characters for season 3.
Yeah, if they do decide they do tease it, but you know.
Yeah, I can see them. Yeah, I can see them doing all 4. Yeah, I see. Yeah, because I think they stopped with that whole shadow silhouette type of deal, and I think they're just now doing full blown, character trailers. So we may get like the same thing we did for season 2, where like they play the animated trailers for the characters for season 3, and then they just release them like that. And I think we've gone over it so many times about who we think is going to be in there. I already have my picks on who I think is going to be in it. I already know for a fact, and you could 1,000% quote me on this, is that we are definitely getting a special guest, and we're getting the Metro City character. Now, everything else can be up for discussion, but it has to be that. It has to be. It can't be a Street Fighter game without a Metro City character. It can't.
No,
So,
nope, definitely. I mean, I'm not gonna argue against it because, like, literally, like, it's like 5 franchises or 6 franchises in the same universe at this point. So yeah,
yeah, I'll say something about like Darkstalkers being in the same universe or something. A Street Fighter
yeah.
and rival schools and stuff like
Strider,
that. Yeah.
Strider, Captain
Yep.
Commando is confirmed because of actually because technically do Final Fight actually since Guy wait yeah it's Strider yeah because Guy and Zeku and one of the featured Striders is the son of the main character from the ninja from Captain Commando. So that was confirmed by the director. So yeah, I mean yeah.
Wait, isn't Captain Commando supposed to be in the future?
So in the timeline, it's probably like not even 100 years in the future at this point. It was, I think it was 20 something something, like 20 X as it says, but it may be like far in the future. We might get like a
Mm.
predecessor of like a character from Captain Commando. Um, and which actually, you know what? I can see that. I will not be surprised at this point. I mean, that actually would be cool to be honest. So yeah, that'd be a really
Hmm.
cool concept.
It'd be a left field kind of choice because you probably wouldn't expect that character.
Oh
And
no,
Another thing would be interesting if they put a Resident Evil character in the game, which is kind of wouldn't make sense, but it would definitely be a first in history if they decided to do something like that. But
Right,
yeah,
right.
we'll see. I mean, Government Games Fest is that weekend, so Capcom's gonna be there, and they'll highlight their games. I just don't want to go in with that expectation because I feel like it's gonna be Monster Hunter based for the presentation. I feel like they're gonna do some Monster Hunter type content and do a couple of other games, but nah, no Street Fighter Season 3 trailer, bro. It can't be until after Evo, maybe. After Evo, I could see them doing something for that, but we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, go ahead and because I feel like this topic is something that we kind of talk about so much, and we've covered this topic so much before, and I guess we got to do it again. Well, one more time wouldn't hurt, right? One more time wouldn't hurt. Classic versus modern part 7. 17 at this rate. But I feel like we talk about this like 3 or 4 times per season or something because the controversy just never ends. It never ends with it. But I think this time I think we should look at it from a different angle. I think this time we take a look at it, the games um applying like a more simpler method input versus just like straight up modern controls. So I'll give you a prime example. So a prime example could be like CVS2, right? So in CVS2, you have Capcom character side and you
Uh,
have the SNK character side. And which side has easier inputs?
I was like, for me, Capcom.
Okay. And which side would you, if somebody was just picking up CVS2 for the first time, which characters would you tell them to play? Like,
Uh,
which side would you tell them to look at first?
Probably the Capcom side, and maybe like something like Ryu or Chun Li.
Hmm. Yeah, because I looked at I look at the inputs on it on just because it's been so long from the Capcom versus SK2. Like, if you think about it, if you have somebody who was just first picking up the game, can you really do like Diddly Rave with Rock and Geese in 2 tries, or Vice's Command Grab Super in 2 tries? But I can do Ryu Senku Hadouken and Bison Knee Press Nightmare. Those days are far gone. So much where they had to introduce an EO mode, aka Easy Operation, and create a separate version of the game just for that. Like retro one button supers, one button specials and supers. Like it's wild that they had to actually create a separate version in addition to like some minor balance changes and stuff to the characters. But yeah, just to simplify it. Because those characters just weren't seeing play like that. Like simple input, they're the future. They're the future because there needs to be a more accessible option for newer players. And I tested this theory because there was no way I was getting half circle forward, back, consistent motions in the heat of a match. But I can definitely hold down and press up and kick, which is why some of those SNK characters rarely saw play at high level. Yeah, there were a few specialists out there that picked the SNK characters, but for the most part, it was the Capcom side that was eating good. Like the barrier for execution is being lowered with future titles. Like devs need people to play their games, and if the moves are too hard to do, they're not gonna pick it up. They're either gonna purchase something, spend $60, $70, or $40 to $60, and then now they can't do the move input, try to get the moves to come out on those games. Like, and I can throw you out another example. So another example would be like in Project Justice. So I was just playing ranked the other day, just for fun,
Uh,
trying to figure out. I run into a character. There's a character on there called Ran. Her name is Ran, RAN, and she only has 2 special moves, and they're simple to do. But there are characters in that game with 6 or 7, and I run into so many Ran players on their team, that put Ran on their team, and I'm like, why are so many people playing this character? And I look at her move list, and I was like, oh, okay, well then that's why, you know. And then you got debates as to whether this easy access mode needs to be banned in games, and now you got controversy on the timeline discussing it. Like those old school hard inputs, they ain't coming back. No one is trying to do a Zen pentagram just to get a command grab to come out. That like there I think we're in that timeline where things are going to have to be more easier access for players to come in and keep the attention of the game because the moves are too difficult to do. They're not going to want to play. They're not going to want to play. And then on top of that, they're losing. So they're not enjoying themselves. So there has to be a solution. And I think you had posted you had put a link in the chat about the Hunter X Hunter or something. Like what was that about? Like
Oh yeah.
there.
So that was the thing that like I kind of like was curious that that's at a general sense what's happening now. So there's a special button so that people do. So rather than having the six buttons like light, medium, heavy type of thing, whatever else, you now have a button that is a simple special button, so people can just input like the special move rather than to create the inputs for the special move. You press the special button and maybe a direction to some like a la Grand Blue. And people complained about it because they were worried that it may cause actually ironically make it complex because the term that they use is button economy because pretty much the more buttons you have to use in the game, the more complicated it is to like do inputs and do like combinations and combos or whatever sorts. But the course at the same time is where people are like, oh well, people don't want to do motion inputs anymore. They just want to press the special button and do the command grab or the whatever special move or the super like and that's it. People and sometimes they get regarded as being lazy, versus oh no, you don't want to do the hard work. Doing the fireball nowadays is it hurts your hand. Oh, or it's too hard. You're a wimp for doing that type of thing. So you have that debate, going on in addition to having many buttons to to configure for a fighting game and to make things complicated, but too easy for newcomers to like get into.
Yeah, it would definitely have to be something where along, like maybe I don't know, maybe like a middle ground. Like what do because if they're not enjoying themselves while playing the game, they're not going to play it. They're going to find something else that they can have better access to or easier access to in order to perform these moves and combos and things of that nature, which is why modern kind of got. I mean, modern and Street Fighter Six got heat for a variety of reasons here, but I'm talking about the overall accessibility feature for other games too as well. How they're starting to adapt that concept, and you're starting to see more games using that concept now. Where okay, if we are not going to put this down forward, diagonal diagonal, back forth, half circle, and punch button just to do this move in our game. So we need to tone it down a bit. And that was an example of what they did. City of the Wolves too as well. Like the move set, I remember that was one of the conversations we had there. I guess Kane, his move set kind of changed a little bit where some of his inputs got changed on his to be a little bit more accessible, like easier to do. So that changed, and the devs are taking notes because these are characters where people, I mean, they have to introduce a new style. Just imagine like with the smart style. Just imagine it was. I mean, I feel like it was designed to ease players into like playing the normal way, like the standard arcade style. I think
Right.
that was like an introduction. So you had that option, which has never been done before, by the way. in a KOF game like this. You know, the fact that you have to that you got to choose between arcade style and smart style is what they're calling it. But they adjusted smart style so it wouldn't be overpowered for sure because it's missing a core feature to make it effective at a high level. But it introduces that element for you playing the character. So it's like, all right, you could play this character. We'll let you do the easy input moves or whatever, but just know that you ain't doing nothing. You ain't hitting on nothing at high level. It's basically what they're saying. Like you can't really like we'll let you do a couple
Right.
of combos here and there, but that's as far as you're gonna get. You're not seeing no high level play with this, and they put that out there. So I feel like more fighting games going forward are going to introduce this concept, like put this out there that yeah, we need to have these easier access inputs for our game. Otherwise, I don't think people are going to play it. That could be one of the main reasons outside of game design. So even if the game design may be like maybe poop, they still have the option of being able to play the game because they can play it because the inputs are more simpler. But what you think, right?
The thing is, like, I've never been like, you know, against the simplification of things unless it's like as long as there's like a balance of it. Because for me, like the smart style, for example, and the Fan Fury, has a similar concept with like modern and Street Fighter, except that what makes it, and particularly for that game, because normally you can what they call feint and break, which is like canceling, like you can cancel before a start of a move or canceling in the middle of a move, which actually is very essential for like combo extensions, fake outs, and other tactics and variety of offensive defensive ways, which is really cool. In smart mode, you lose that. So as a result, you only can do like a simple bread and butter type of combos. So that means you have to work nearly more, like almost twice, at least twice as hard to, get the win or whatever. But as a result, you don't have to do so much of input wise to, get things going. So it's really something like that. I can respect that because like, hey, it's easier to do the simple stuff, but as a result, you have to work a little bit hard to achieve the same victory or result that you want. But you lose and you're limited. Now and it may suck because some people want to. There are people that want to win and want an easy way to do it, and then there are people who just want the easy way to do things and not care about if they have to work hard or not. As long as it's easy for them to do it, that's fine. And that's the way I kind of see it now. Versus hey, you're being lazy versus this is how we are, because we're in that time frame that at this point I think the modern concept is going to be a main thing, if it's not already, or be mainstream alongside, for accessibility reasons, for future games. Tekken is kind of like doing something like that, have been doing something like that, since Tekken 7 and so forth. But, like Fan Fury, obviously. So the next Marvel vs. Capcom, Marvel Infinite did a little bit of that, a tiny bit of it, and even Marvel 3 to an extent. We might get a new Marvel or new tag, whatever. You might end up having, here's a modern mode, or I'm trying to think of another game, Virtua Fighter somehow might get a new modern version of maybe everything is one button for a certain combo, and you have that one button and a guard button, and then a button that throws, and a button that does what sidestep, whatever else, and that's it. You don't have to worry about the punch, kick, grab. It's simple enough on its own, but they make it made simpler. That's going to happen. Like there's no way you can really stop it. And as much as people want to argue about it, for those like mad about the accessibility, like that's the main reason that the companies are looking at it versus like I want easy ways to win, because like I think as Chris was saying, in the end, the person who's going to have the better experience overall, how to use the game and the mechanics and the system and characters, whatever, they're going to still win regardless. That's why, for me, as a person that kind of in that boat, I can still beat people, and even though they use modern Street Fighter or simple or smart mode and Fatal Fury, because it's gonna take more than just one or two buttons and left and right to deal with to beat me. And the thing is, I welcome those who actually want to utilize it. So the thing is, at this point, we are going to have to adjust with the times of the modern. This is like I said, the future is now, man. So
And that's oddly enough, that's their slogan. That's was the SNK classic slogan. The future is now. So that was shout out to SNK Playmore. That was their one of their slogans because this is it. This is
yeah,
how we moving forward. And then Chris says, I would disagree. If you make the inputs in games too simple, then there's nothing really to keep a player interested at the week or two. Newer players are always going to lose. The better players, uh, better plays. The problem with fighting games is people want to win and never lose. It's never their fault. That is 100% correct. I 100% agree with that statement. It's to a level where, but I will say this that you would have to look at it from a casual standpoint, not competitive. Competitive side, we could kind of put that to the side right now. I'm looking at it from the casual consumer side. On the casual consumer side, they outnumber the competitive side by a large margin, which is
yeah,
why which is why Street Fighter Six is being so successful is because of the battle. The battle hub, and the casual atmosphere of the battle hub. You always see up to 20 or something players always in the battle hub. Talking and socializing, saying crazy things all the time. But it's that casual experience that they have there that keeps them engaged. Now I said this, and I've said this before in the past, that if it was just straight versus and story mode and stuff like that, if it didn't have the battle hub, I don't think the game would have seen the numbers it's seeing that it's seeing right now. I think the
oh
huge
yeah,
part is this is exactly why the avatars are being catered towards heavily because that is a good chunk of their player base. We come second. We are always going to be second towards the casual consumer experience, and that's just how it goes. People want to play the dress up. They want to release a new hat that $10 that costs $10. They want a new shirt that costs $10 or something. They're gonna buy that because they could put it on their avatar and they could role play or do whatever they want with it. But it gives them that option, that creative option to customize their character and talk and hang out with the same people they see all the time. And they may not even be good players. I mean, they may be terrible players, but it's the fact that that social dynamic is being put into the game that allows a more engaging experience versus competitive. Like if it was straight competitive, you know what I'm saying? Like it wouldn't see the numbers. It would not see the same numbers. But I will say that Capcom is doing a great job on that. And I know that on the competitive side, they're being a little bit more fed up because because of the lack of content coming in on the competitive aspect. Like people want the costumes. Like it's been over a year, and why does Terry only got one costume? Why does Terry Amaya only got one costume? Stuff like that. So there's little clavets. Certain things that they're trying to balance out. They're trying to find a good balance for it, right? Like anytime they post up any type of avatar related content, there's the uproar. There's always you look at the comments on the social media on Twitter or whatever. There's people in uproar. They're saying, "Where's costume? Where's costume 4? Where's the season 3 trailer? When
yep.
does this character come out?" They want to know that information, but they're promoting the casual avatar content because this is you know they gotta make sure they eat. They gotta because they outnumber the competitive environment, man. They know that eventually the patch is going to come. Eventually that these character adjustments are going to come, but it just takes longer. It's just a more waiting where it's easier to just upload a new shirt with a different color on it and call it new content. So yeah, it's kind of a difficult spot to make that make that balanced adjustment for that. It just feels like if we're going to push towards putting those type of accessibility features in games, um, we have to accept that that's what it's going to be. We have to, as the competitive on the competitive side, we have to accept that yes, modern is going to be a thing from here on out. Yeah, you could easily compare it to the past. Back in my day, we used to do this, and this, and nowadays they made games so much easier to play, and everybody's a scrub, and stuff like that. But this is it. This is what we're going to have. It's what's going to have to happen, and the sooner the players accept that, the better they are all off on dealing with the game, because there should be no way in 2025, 2026, 2027 where people still questioning, modern stuff. Oh, he's using modern. He's a modern, stuff. All that should be done by now. I'm like, all right, it is what it is. It is modern. I lost to a modern player. All right, GG's. I lost to a classic player. All right, GG's. That's it. But you still got people out there that are still like to bring that up for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know why, but it's weird to me. But that's just something I would think about that. It's just something interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, just I feel like we talk about this so much, and we just got to bring it up again, because this is what other games are gonna go for. Look at going forward. So just be ready. So if you lose to that one player that's using smart style or modern mode or easy access mode, easy operation mode, you're just gonna have to hold it. Yeah. You're gonna have to hold it, yo. But retro, before we move on, our next topic, man, you got any other thoughts on it?
No, that's all I gotta say. But I know we're gonna even season 5 when we get to that point. Yeah, we're gonna have another conversation because we'll see what happens when they do season 3 change. So.
Hey, who knows? I mean, it could be something catastrophic or something good. We just gotta, we got a few more days to kind of figure it out there. But yeah, so we're gonna dive in. I know he couldn't resist, yo. He couldn't resist. But Jacob, man, you do see Retro's message. He does agree. So make it happen. Make it happen, Jacob. All right, maybe get you guys in first or whichever time. Get an FGC Chris. Real live. We're. I know this is a live podcast, so y'all probably who's listening like, yo, what is he talking about? But yeah, man, we got the stream chat going on, and we're looking at the stream chat right now, and we got a set in motion right now. So we're gonna more likely get Sir Retro versus FGC Chris. We need to confirm that and lock it in for Tuesday. Thank you very much, Jacob. All right, so let's get back to what we got going on here. So our next topic was going to be trash talk or industry plan. Now this where it gets a little spicy, Retro. All right, check this out. So now with this topic,
Uh huh.
industry plans, they're people that get paid to promote and to promote a product or service, regardless of its feedback, right? In fighting games,
Right.
if a game gets bad reception, there may be someone out there who likes the game or quote unquote paid to like the game, even though weeks later you don't see them talking about the said game anymore on their social media timeline. Now, if we take this logic
Yep.
and apply it to players for Street Fighter 6, we can see some similar results. We can see some similar things going down. Um, we had this player has been the talk of the town over the last couple of weeks, man, and months, and it's just gonna the energy is gonna keep going, man. Order Prodigy, he's probably the most controversial players out there. Some people hate him, some people love him, some people support him because he keeps it real, and some things he's fake. But regardless of your opinion on him, he does play this game. He plays the game at a well enough level. But that's what I want to talk about, Retro. Just because you're pressing buttons well, your behavior also be well too? Or is it a product of a manufactured character? Talk to me, Retro. What we got? Yeah. Talk to me. Yeah.
I believe in Noah. I believe he's not an industry plant. That I mean, it's he consistently. Yeah, he plays Luke, which is an annoying character. You know, the character could carry. I mean that's me as semi Lucator, but that kid is smart enough. I mean, you know what? Is he's on the same spectrum. He's he's very patient like how Blast is and Andy Walker and so forth, but he's on the wild spectrum on that in that um, category. Like, but he knows what he's doing. That's the thing. He can tell what he knows what he's doing. He knows when to press buttons. He knows when to interact with sometimes, and sometimes he wings it, which does seem yeah. So it feels like he has that he would be a strange case, but I honestly believe he is a strong player. Now that being said, for a strong player of a pressing buttons, talking trash is maybe another thing. Because I mean, he yes, you have freedom of speech, you have opinions about how you want to say things and whatever. Just it's entertaining, but sometimes I'm like, bro, just I don't think that's the best time to say this, or you know what, I think you just take it easy on at this moment because that dude was just saying
See,
talk.
that's not that. But I think that's the whole gimmick is that he's not supposed to take it easy. He's supposed to be
I
this
know.
untamed, untamed, unrelenting force that's out there that won't be stopped and won't be censored.
Okay.
So I think that's his character. I know some of the
Yeah.
things he like. Oh my god, did he really just say that? But it's.
He's kind of
I
like it's
feel
like
like
DJ
I don't know,
Khaled.
man. I don't know.
Like how DJ Khaled is like he appears that he kind of like simple in minded or a simple way to express things and he use like words and weird like he's he doesn't like he doesn't like not broken English but like he used to grammar the way he's grammar is like simple like you know stay away from they or you smart you a genius type of thing but he actually like really good with business in a sense and he makes money and does really well like is that type of I'll say that's the closest I can think of as an analogy of how he operates. Like he's not like a person that really is like he may not be at that super action wild on the hinge, and I think he is to an extent. Because the thing is, like in Marvel's Capcom 3, when he was like 9 years old, he was mashing the heavy button with Hulk. Like that's the most Hulk thing you ever do. That's the most wildest thing you ever do. That is a button mashing thing you ever do. But he did get far, to be fair. So I think that is him. That's the thing. But same time, the way he plays Street Fighter now, like you can tell it's more sophisticated. You can tell, like, you know. But okay. It's just the fact that I still think about that. Okay, it's public. That's the fact what he did at Japan. Oh my gosh! After he won, he handed. It's that.
Oh, don't hand him the mic. I think you said don't hand him the mic, yo.
And then a Hennessy.
If he wins, don't hand him the
And
mic,
then a
yo.
Hennessy. Like this man just literally just gave his opponent. Oh my gosh! Like oh my gosh! Like why? I mean, in my mind, it was like he wanted to be, like how Punk was, but Punk was just trash talk. Punk was just like trash talk, but he was really more sophisticated in how he like conducted himself in that process. Because like he just talk trash to get people routed up and try to beat him, and then he just like shut them down that way. Noah does the same thing, and is at the same time it's like he's serious about it, and he says what he says, and he rouses up people. But then sometimes he does say something that like he does like okay wait, I did something that's out of line. So he does acknowledge that sometimes, but it's like he keeps going regardless. So the thing is,
I feel like the energy is different. Like it's different between the two for sure. Like
right.
Punk is more mild and Noah is just like that. We mashing on trash talking, you know. gonna
he
mash on
button
Trash
mashing
Talk.
hard trash talking. Like there's no way about it.
Yeah,
He's modern mode with it.
yeah.
Like there's no inputs anything. He just
Gosh, dang. Yeah. That's that's something to think about, me. And then the reason why, because he's the only one that's like really doing it at this level, right? Like he is placing, he is competing, he's putting in spots. He's saying he's the best in the world. There's a lot going on, but it's this is his doing, and you kind of wondering, man, are people? Because if you think about it, like here's another thing I'm gonna throw out there, right?
okay.
You know how Capcom is quick to like suspend people or ban people for behavior and all this other stuff.
Right.
Why was there never any notification sent toward him? Versus the things he says all the time. Like I'm sure probably people are in his ear telling him like, man, you can't say that, or oh man, don't type that out, and he has to delete his post or whatever. But my thing is, Capcom was so quick to get here, or less, you know. So I don't know. It feels like this is what they want. They want eyes on the game, and they want people to be, yeah, man. They want to cheer against this bad. He's a bad guy or whatever. They don't want him to win, but this gets what people viewed in. People want to view in. People will tune in just to try to see him lose, and they celebrate
Yeah.
when he loses.
Cause to be fair, we missed those days. So we haven't had like a villain of the scene in a long time. The last big villain was
Mm,
for example, like Filipino champ and Marvel, and then to an extent Street Fighter. Then you had maybe, of course, it's of course some bad blood between Wolf Krone and K Brad, but then
mm,
I say, well, Punk would have been that villain to an extent, to because to the point that famous Evo 2017, like you have that person that will say, you know what, I'll body all these fools. Y'all guys can't beat me. I'm winning $1 million. Y'all guys ain't gonna do nothing about it. You can't do this. I'm shouting to my homies, shout out to all the losers that I beat. Da da da. I miss, to be honest. You're right though. I miss that. I miss it. I really miss that because
yeah.
like it was entertaining because the thing is, one, the dude kept it like, the thing is, at least he does keep it in the game. He doesn't be like, well, you suck, your mom suck, your parents suck, your life savings ain't worth it because you ain't worth it. Blah blah. Like he never been like that. It's like, you can't beat me in this game. You're trash. I won this. You didn't. Then the story. Shout outs to this, not to you. Boom. Like, and I respect it. Like he does keep it in within the he does keep it within the boundaries, I would say, of like talking trash and being and not taking it personal or anything like that. I think it just some of the word. I think things could be better worded, and I think he could be a more convincing villain. If he, especially, I want him to win more, and I think that would be it. Because that's one of the things about being a villain. If you were or being something like that, is that be effective one is that you win and as you're talking trash, and you run your mouth and you're beating people, at the same time or simultaneously rather. So which I believe he can, he has on occasion. It's just that right now with the recent results that I've seen, he hasn't shown up in top eights here and there. So I'm like, okay, is that a fluke for a moment, or I mean, of course, personal things can happen. He might be busy, but it'd be a point where, like, hey, I was like, he'd be like, no, I didn't show up in Combo Breaker, but I'm gonna be at Evo USA. Y'all can get smoked or CEO, blah blah. If you start doing that again, then I'll kind of be like, all right, yeah, you might have a break, whatever, or and I'm saying, the game cannot, the game is a bit unpredictable, and everyone can win all the time. But I think if he was like top eight for the past 5, 6 big tournaments, in addition to the times he's been winning before or close to winning, then I can see him being a much more effective villain. Because I don't tune him out that much, but it's like, okay, yeah, you talking stuff, but I haven't seen you that much lately. So, hey,
Yeah, if you want to be a villain, you got to win, man. The villain has to win because the people don't want the villain to win. They don't want the villain to win. But if the villain talks crazy and is not winning, then you lose interest because now you're just blowing hot air. Now it's like, man, I'm about to, everybody's free. I'm smoking everybody. All of that. Like if someone came down, just for example, like if someone came down to your scene, won the tournament, and went on social media and said your scene was free or ass on G Street, would that reflect like who would that reflect upon the players, right? I know some would have mixed feelings about it. Like this guy is toxic. He should not be allowed to compete at our events. Or if he shows up again, I could beat him, type of stuff. So, every hero definitely needs a villain. So I'm not sure on this one. It's kind of like a mixed feeling towards that because again, you do have people who may look at it another way. How they say it's a toxic. That would be like a toxic environment if you guys are allowing this person to say all this stuff and still being able to compete at these events. Now I don't want to go to these events because they're allowing this type of behavior. I don't know, man. I feel like as long as you're not making it personal, you should be good. Like competitive trash talk will always exist. It'll always exist. I mean, hell, like I've been in, I don't know, I can't even count how many times I've been in untamed gaming related events where people are rooting against you, or or just talking trash while you're playing. It happens. It happens. It's a part of the game. I know it's not welcomed. It's not welcomed everywhere, and some people may take offense to it and never show back up. So it's I don't know, man. This is kind of like the one topic that's kind of like in that ballpark where we may have to do like a thorough analysis on it and kind of break it down a little bit further. But I feel like it's kind of like a 50-50 type of deal at the moment because on one hand, it kind of does help with the scene for promotion, like the production, because it gives people like, dang, I know I can beat this guy. He may have won this tournament, but if he comes back again, I know I can beat him, right? And I won't let him, trash talk our city
Uh,
like that. I got to represent for our city. So if he comes back again, it'd be me and him. And if I win, then he can't say our scene is trash anymore. Type of story. That creates a story. It creates stories, right? And then on the other hand, that person just, they talking crazy and nobody can beat them. Now people are just, looking down on your scene and they're agreeing with them, saying that you're ass because nobody stood up. Nobody stood up or stepped up to the challenge, and he just, just running them up. So, and it's kind of a hard call to make on this one, I will say. But yeah, what do you think? Before we move on to that next topic, man, what do you think there, Retro?
yeah, I
Because
can see.
you TO, you've been TO for what 10 years now?
Yep. I mean, I've seen
Oh my goodness.
and I experienced the players that will come in, destroy everybody, and be like, I'm the best, no one can beat me. And I know there are times where people like kind of like, I don't like that. That's that's rude. And I'm like, you have to beat this guy. Like this person's going to come back again, and so forth, and going to be like, do it again. Um, and thing is like that you want to read it, and that's of course that's a separate topic that we discuss on many occasions. But yeah, is where if but I mean if the person came back and then I seen where the person did come back and we just like demolished him and he got quiet, and then like yeah that's right, and it was back and forth. But then like it gets into one where we beat him again and again, and it's like, oh, it felt like a fluke. It felt like you just showing off and just want to run your mouth and that's it. But there was few times where we had players that came through and like, all right, I'm picking up my paycheck, and we were like, oh, this guy again. And we get close to beating him. We start taking games like, all right, let's go. We got this. And then he'll come back and beat us again. Like, oh my gosh, are you serious? We almost had him. And it was a story. People were discouraged, but I enjoyed it because, I saw it as a motivation for the players to look forward to getting competitive for. Because, that was the thing. And the thing is, he can intentionally, that person intentionally wants to set a standard of, hey, I want to see people get competitive to try to beat me. I want to see a challenge, because it's gonna be boring for them if they walk around to different places and beating up, scenes and just taking money, and then no one wants to challenge them. That's it. It's boring. It is not fun, and then people will wonder. And the thing is, you don't understand. There's no story, and if no story, you have no audience that's going to be engaged, and then you never know. One people in the audience be like, you know what? I might look into getting this. How did I learn this? This guy talking trash all the time. That you lose. You don't get that support. You don't get that. You lose all of that when you don't want to create a story of, overcoming your obstacle, because there's going to be obstacles that's going to happen. But yeah, if the one time obstacle that if you beat it and you always can beat it all the time, yeah, like I said, it'll be boring on your end, because you're like, dang, I beat the guy, he was talking trash, and then I could do it again and again. All right, that was it. But but there was, like I said, the times when we had people that were hard to beat, and some of them were local, man, it was great, and the person who finally beat them had an amazing feeling and just felt relief and just popped off, and the whole crowd cheered and everything. That was it was a movie scene, just a great cinema moment. And I mean, yeah, as far as like going to the topic with Noah, because I wanted when Noah was starting doing it, I was like, okay, and she started winning at times again, like consistent placement. I was like, oh, I want this. I was like, please. I want Noah to beat everybody. I want Noah to get far in top 8 Capcom Cup. I want him to do this, so he can run his mouth. And I want people to come after him and shut it down. I really wanted to do so. Now, the thing is that with the with the international players, the thing is international players are very tough. So I wasn't too worried though, because they're gonna be on their P's and Q's. And like playing, getting better than him and stuff like that. And I can see them getting involved with trying to beat them to shut them up. But at least for America, because how we are as a culture, as an ego driven, I wanted to have Punk, have 801 Strider, and all the U.S. players, Nephew, or a few of them to be like, you know what? No one's been winning to all these tournaments so lately. Let's shut this guy up, please. I wanted a banter between Punk and Noah, just 15 tweets between them, like, well, yeah, you would have won. Yeah, you won back in this Evo, but I beat you and you and you. Da, da, da. Oh yeah, well, you know what? I was in tournaments way before you were born. So da, da, da. And I wanted to see some of that, and I've been like, I want to see like a rap beef. I don't want what happened with Kendrick and Drake, where one is dominating and the other one's suing. No, I want to see that hip hop, good R&B, rap beef type of thing back and forth. I want that L Cool J and Cannabis. I want that Tupac Biggie type of thing. And then like I know that not the best analogy because how things ended, but the experience of the back and forth, and I want the consistency. Like, oh man, this person is better than him. Oh no, wait, they fighting back. Oh no, this is how's it going to end? That engagement and excitement just So I hope that Noah does, if he does somehow hear from this, that he does take he does one, upgrade his trash talk, and two, just enter the TNS tournaments and just run it through everybody. Go to CEO, run it, and do top 8. Go to Evo USA, Evo France. Going to maybe some international tournaments. Could that international tournament will add a lot more to it, even like more international tournaments, and then definitely he can I beat people in Europe, I beat people in China, I beat people in Japan. What you gotta say about me now? And hey Punk, I called you out. Da, da, da. Hey Man RD, I called you out. Blah blah blah. I'm with it. Then it'd be a 1 to 10 exhibition for $1,000. pay money to see that. Pay per view. I love it. I miss it. I miss those days.
That's the energy, man. That's the energy because it brings back that flavor, right? And I feel like a lot of events are missing the flavor, right? They're missing the story that are being told mid match, man. Everything is like, all right, GG, take my hand. Who's my next opponent? Or I'm going down to losers. That's it. But the matches that tell stories are the ones that are going to be more captivating. There's the ones that, hey, people going to, because they're going to tune in and they're going to be like, hey, man, what's the story between these two, right? And you tell them, well, such and such said that this person shouldn't have won last time, and now they're running it back this time, and they're playing, and they got a serious look on their faces. The commentators are locked in, and everybody's quiet because they're looking at the anticipating results. You may see somebody cheering for one side, and the other side is just focused and they're just playing their best. And if one person wins, people celebrate. They'll celebrate. They say, "Hey, you beat the person who said all of this stuff about you, a week or so ago, and now you won the feud, right?" It keeps you in that engagement spirit. Like I said, I don't mind the competitive trash talk, man, but just as long as you're not making it personal.
Right,
It is,
right.
as long as there's no need to like make it, throw out insults and stuff like personal insults and stuff. Just keep it in game, and then you be all right, man. And I think if people take it beyond that, that's when you kind of get that all right, now we got a flag. We got to throw a flag on the play
Exactly.
because now it's to the point of disrespect. So
Because
yeah,
the
I
fact that no, sorry,
yeah.
the fact that
I don't go
Capcom,
ahead, you were saying?
the fact that Capcom threw out $1 million as a prize money for first place, that was been enough for people to like a Hunger Games at each other. Like, you're not gonna win that $1 million. I am. Oh, are you sure? Like should have been the bigger motivation to do that. I mean, and that a lot of rivalries would have started. People, no, because they'd be your best friend, be like looking at you like, "Hey man, hey bruh, hey girl, hey whoever, you my homie, but that $1 million is mine." I mean, if you had to betray your teammate to take him out, you didn't perfect parry. I'm sorry, you didn't take that throw. It was on you. That betrayal, top 10 anime betrayal moment, it'd be a villain's origin story right there. And then your teammate will switch to another team, another sponsor. That's the story right there. But actually,
your former teammate.
Exactly. There we go. But actually, you know what? I actually started myself, and as I accepted the FGC Chris challenge. Like, actually, been talking to because in our group, I talk trash to my own players. I talk trash. Chato, no, I talk trash to him. I know I could beat Chato. I beat Chato. If I beat him once, I can beat him again. Like, that's how I am. I can beat Databang, because Databang be like, man, this. I'm like, bro, you're the best geef in our area. You're a top 3. I will beat you. Astro, who always get into arguments and stuff somehow. I talk trash to Astro. I'm like, that's all you do, perfect parry and drive rush. I'm like, I'm gonna do it again. Are you gonna stop me? You can't stop me. I'm first to tell you, let's go. Like, I actually, I will start. I would instigate. I would like.
Afraid what instigator, yeah.
No, because I actually
Yeah. Oh my god.
Oh no! Wait till you haven't heard about my Marvel days.
Oh what?
I'm actually about to do first to 10 with all my Marvel players because I'm like, I'm gonna beat all y'all. You know what? Y'all quiet. Y'all can play Marvel. I'm gonna just smoke y'all guys with my Phoenix right. Come on, like first to 10 y'all. Come on, let's go. Like, and they're like, all right, bet. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to start a riot. I'm just want to like, hey, I want you to find a way y'all get motivated to beat me. Because I'm gonna start. Because even y'all beat me, I'm still talking trash. I'm like, yeah, you go ahead and do that last combo right there. You got that. You got that super. All right, bet. Let me wake up and do this. And then like, oh my gosh, you're still talking. I'm like, that's right. I'm gonna be. I'm being your way. I'm getting your way. Like, I will make sure you have to do what you need to do to get better. Because if you and I told people like at times they'd be like, no, I can't beat the other person. Like, I'm gonna beat you, and don't let me beat you because I will be talking trash on how much I beat you until you can beat me, and you would never like I would never let go, and you never like live it down. And actually, so far, I'm actually putting myself about like maybe 5 or 6 first to tens, including FTC Chris. I mean, I don't FTC Chris been at me for a while because I know he beat the Cardo. But I'm like, all right, bet. You know, I'm still here. I haven't touched the game in a while. I mean, that doesn't mean I can't play. My DJ's still good. I'm all right. Look, I'll cook them. Boom. It,
Mm-hmm.
but the
Yeah.
thing is, at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
internally, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
and he might, and I say it out loud. I'm proud of Chris. I like his stuff when he posts how he's making progress. Now he's Diamond 5, like become a master, jury. He making progress. I'm like, that what I'm talking. He does. Like I said, the thing is always kept in the game and always is a motivation for other
Mm-hmm.
people to get better and so forth. And like I said, that's pretty much the last said about it. As far as I see it, and that's how I hope to see it in Noah eventually, and seeing other players who, I like to get motivated and trash talk. I hope, because Paul Talk gonna do that when his character comes out in Tekken. It's gonna be entertaining because the way he does it is gonna be funny, and I hope that we see something like that for Street Fighter. You know,
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like players are. We need that. I definitely think we need those type of players that's willing to bring that excitement, they're willing to bring the personality, the energy, to the game, and that's what I like to see. Even when I'm at our events, if I lose, I say GGs, throw up a comment or two, and then we back to business. It's just we're keeping the engagement going, man. We're keeping the engagement going. I just hope people don't. I know everybody's not gonna view it the same way. They may say, oh, toxic or harmful environment
uh,
or something like that, but it's not that. It's not that case. It's not a case of that nature. And if there is a problem, we can always talk about it, or talk with the person to see what we can do to make the experience a little bit better. But it's not harming. We're not doing anything to harm each other personally. Personal. So I just want people to to disassociate between the personal disrespect and then the gameplay competitive trash talk. Because it is motivates you. Because when you beat that person, all you can do is smile at them. You could just smile and just like, hey man, GG's man, try again next year, or try again next time, like that. Just keep it going, and there it is, man. You shake hands, you get food, get drink afterwards, and then you guys move on to the next event. And that's usually what it's about. It's the camaraderie, man. You don't want to just be like go to a bland, go to a tournament, win. Nobody talks to each other. Nobody saying nothing. It's a library. Nobody wants to be in a library, man. We want the energy. We want the hype, the excitement, man. That's what we're looking for. We want that engagement. So, yes, Noah. Yes, the choices and words that Noah do say can kind of throw some question marks at throw some question marks at you at the same time, but it gets people talking. He's the only one out there that's doing that at that level. I mean, Japan doesn't have a Noah. Other states don't have a Noah. So, I mean, other countries don't have Noahs. I feel like they need to have that experience, that player that can kind of push them to their limit, to break past the limit, to get strong, to get to that level. Because man, you're like, yo, I just want to beat this guy. And the fact that people tune in just to watch them play and you cheer them on if they lose, like it's, that's funny to me. But it's getting more people engaged into the content. It's just, yeah, we just got to separate the two identities between the trash talk and competitive trash talk. But there it is, man. All right, well, we're gonna move into our next topic here. Got a few more to go before we wrap it up for the season finale for season 4. So we hope you guys have been enjoying the podcast thus far, whether you're listening live or you're listening to the rebroadcast. We definitely do appreciate that support. But Retro, I think you mentioned this topic before, and I guess if you want to expand on it a little bit, you said what makes a game complete.
yeah, definitely. the thing is that I've seen people talk about when there are games that come out, there's is like, hey, where's this feature? Where's rollback? Where's crossplay? Where's this and that third for this game? So it feels like now there's a standard of what games should have to make it seem like it is a complete game. Otherwise, the game not complete, is not ready, is released too early, is not is a beta version of this game. We're playing the beta for a year. Is this type of, or is a demo, whatever like that, or they're holding out on us and stuff. So
Mm.
if we were to have, all right, I'm gonna ask you though, what? So for a fighting game in particular, in this case, maybe like Street Fighter Five, whatever, Street Fighter, excuse me, in general, or just a fighting game. What do you consist that a fighting game should have from the launcher, from the start, um, to be considered a complete package, a complete game?
Right. It should have training. It should have training mode. It has a training mode.
Uh huh.
Um, Arcade mode. Let's
Mm-hmm.
see, story mode. I think
Mm-hmm.
arcade story mode, training mode, the online play should be there. There should be lobbies. There should be crossplay.
Uh huh.
I feel like crossplay is pretty much standard at this point. There should not be console exclusive, uh, games anymore, especially with this day and age,
Mm-hmm.
especially with 2025. Here, I feel like every game should be able to cross communicate between platforms on there. For sure. The If there is going to be a if they're not going to, here's my thing. So if they're not going to do crossplay, then they should just make a console exclusive. Then
Mm-hmm.
at that point you might as well. Because if you don't have intention to do crossplay, add crossplay to your game, then just I guess do a console exclusive based thing. But yeah, I feel like crossplay is kind of like the metric and the standard for release. There, training mode, arcade mode, story mode, trial mode, definitely. Trial mode is definitely very important to get used to the combo. Tutorial mode,
Right.
there, and that's it. I mean, everything else can be optioned, but I feel like those are the core modes that every fighting game needs.
Okay.
Like, of course, you got your bonus content, then like museum mode and all that,
Right. Right.
and listen to the soundtrack and stuff like that, bonus features. But I feel like those five or six modes are going to be like the standard for every fighting game that comes out.
Okay.
Features too as well, of course. But yeah.
All right. All right. Um. So, pretty much on the same boat as you. Like I would say this. I'll say an arcade mode, and or story mode of a sort. No, you know what? Arcade and a separate story mode. For many reasons. Well, for reasons. Of course, you want to have one that's have the standard. Just go to the opponent's ladder and play through that instead in that. But then have a separate one where you kind of adventure out and do unique things. That's not just fighting against opponents. It can be like a mini game in between. You can level up maybe, or you can like do unique interactions or see more in depth about the characters type of stuff in between. So I think like having that type of two type of modes for like the single player, especially convenience. Of course, obviously versus mode, training mode, and depth with the training mode. Having the set for features of um, of course, replay, playback, changing the dummy, have it where you can definitely um, have frame data. I mean, I think that's going to be a standard at this point, if it's not now. Have the frame data, hitbox details. So, of course, for those like to be more in depth about how to know what button to press or how safe this move is, invisibility, all that stuff, that should be a standard now. because pretty much that's most competitive players are going to rely on to lab with. I'm trying to think. Of course, tutorial mode, a good guide of how to play the game, the mechanics, with guides for each character, um, little combo trial, and of course, how to do the combos with certain characters, with each character, um, kind of some bread and butters and so forth, practical combos, here and there. So I'm just going a little depth with each one. But then have, of course, I'll say a party mode of a sort, a fun party mode, like a Tekken Ball or Extreme mode with Street Fighter, or do this gamble mode or whatever to get items and unlock, maybe some colors or something like that for the other characters or content or art, for art or whatever. Online mode, obviously, of course, crossplay, rollback, for sure. Then, of course, have a lobby that's well built. That's you have it where it's easy to access the room. Players can jump from the room to the spectating and vice versa. It doesn't take forever. You don't have to wait for the next match to start to spectate or whatever. Or, if people want to train with each other online rather than sitting down, rather than just fighting each other, they can do that. Have that type of complete lobby. Of course, matchmaking is going to be like consistent. Wherever you are placed in, you have a certain standard deviation range of people in that similar rank points and stuff you play with. But you have plenty, and then of course if they rage quit, if they unfortunately you might have connection issues, but that type of situation, you can filter out actually of Wi-Fi versus wired, or if possible by console, and then of course you can filter out that way, and that way in that matchmaking process. But then that way you can get at least a good number of matches. You don't have to wait for 10 minutes for a match. Maybe or maybe have a schedule or data outside of the game for people, like this is the most amount of players that appear at this time frame. This is when go ahead and enter this room or this game, whatever. I think that type of data could be a public data to be accessible. So that's a little outside of the game, but internally, yeah. Online was a good rollback, lobby, crossplay, single player story mode, arcade mode for fun adventure stuff. Online lobby could be like go venture out, meet players in like a lounge of a sort, a public lounge, which is a common thing now, and have a good versus mode, good in-depth training mode, and guides and combos and trials. I think that makes it a complete game for me. In addition, though, have maybe from the get-go 2 extra costumes per character. And if you want to do it this way, unlock it by either paying for it, or you can go in the game and unlock the colors by doing certain things, like play versus mode with this character 50 times, or go to story mode and play against this character, find this thing or whatever. Play the game, make the game playable, worth playing, and have replayability, or make the game worth playing to unlock something, and not always going to just play and play. If not going to pay, obviously, alternatively. So have some few unlockables by playing the game. Have a looking forward to. Don't like, because the thing is that I do also see is people would also want to have these features, and then they don't play at all. They just go to versus mode, online mode, and that's it. It's like, I don't need to go to this mode to play this at all. I don't care about it. Give it a bit of a reason to care about. Hey, you want this extra color? we want Chun-Li costume number 2 or 3. Well, go to the story mode and tell them play. Don't do this, or you can pay it, or you can do this other feature. So I think that should be like a idea, thing. Because not saying that I'm against DLC, whatever, or extra costumes or whatever, but for the time things are being developed and how things develop taking longer and so forth, I think having stuff to do while waiting for the next step or next phase will make the game worthwhile playing and be like, hey, well, I got to master rank in Street Fighter. Guess I'm going to not play this game for 6 months until my character comes out. And I mean, and those things, some people are like that in general. And that's what they all about. Then that's fine. But for everyone else who wants to do something else, like, oh snap, they got a story mode. I can do this, and I can unlock this, and I can have this feature and colors and this panel and art, and I can unlock this extra mini mode, whatever. That makes it the replayability that retains, people like, what? I haven't played this game in a while. I can take a break. I don't have to play the fight versus mode, but I can do this. So I think that ultimately, with a more in-depth description on what I want, will make it be, hey, this is a complete game. Uh-oh. Did I lose you?
I'm here. I was waiting to see if you
Yeah.
finish. Okay.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah. So yes, yeah. So regards to that, yeah, I feel like that's the standard package there for fighting games to have, especially with the amount of time and development it takes to have them there. Depending on, oh no, I wouldn't say the cycle or how long it takes for the game to come out. 'Cause for fighting games, I know there's some work that has to be done, and getting the voice actors to say their lines and getting all of that together. I guess it
Right,
could
right.
take anywhere up to a year. I mean, I don't know the exact timing it would take to make the fighting game happen, but if you got the programmers and the team members and all of that in there, most of the time, especially depending on the developer, they may be working on another project at the same time. So what ends up ending up happening is, and what I'm noticing is they'll come out with the game,
Right.
but there may be like a patch. They may do like a day one patch or a patch the following week, and when somebody finds something that isn't there. I mean, like gameplay, there's an issue gameplay wise, but as far as the features are concerned, yeah, pretty much everything you listed there, I feel like should be, especially if you're paying a good amount of money for the game already. I feel like those features should definitely be something to engage the consumer to come back and play their fighting game, and then have something outside of that window for them to do as well. Like, okay, yeah, I can go to ranked, I could play a few matches, but what else is there? What else can I do in this game besides that? So this is where all that story mode and extra content come in that can help keep the player engaged. So that's just just something I feel like, in my opinion, would just make the game complete if it just had access to those kind of day one features on there. Not not too much to ask for. I think being able to play with your friends is also a good sign of a complete game with the crossplay and the lobbies there. So on this here, so before we dive, it looks like we're going to take a tackle into our last topic here, and then we'll just go in with anything else after that.
Uh-huh.
Retro, then get our ads going to close out for season 4. Here now, this one is a bit um, interesting, right? Because this is probably going to be something that we've been probably lingering on our minds for quite some time, and it's kind of the future of I Got Nick. So we're just gonna just get straight into it, right? So the future is now. So before we begin this segment, I want to state that me and Sir Retro, did not discuss anything about this beforehand. We did not rehearse anything about this beforehand. This is a live, genuine reaction, and we want to be
Mm.
transparent and upfront as possible. Sometimes you need to step away for a moment and refresh yourself mentally, spiritually, and physically, or else you'll be going to burnout. And when you're in burnout, you don't perform the same. You'll be in burnout. There's not much you could do, right? This podcast was something that I did not think was going to last this long, and it's a pipe dream that I had, an idea that I had in my head. I never done a podcast before. Sure, I commentated, and that's public speaking. So naturally, the podcast seemed like a natural transition. I was just used to speaking and talking on a mic with people I've never met before, and so there wasn't any nerves. Really, it was just resources and time. So I reached out to Sir Retro and I asked if he wanted to start one about 4 years ago, and he said, "Yeah." You know, hours and hours of making, hours and hours and hours of talking and making many different, talking with many different guests. And here we are at the end of season 4. I'm very grateful and thankful for Sir Retro because he did not have to agree to do any of this. But I want to be upfront and honest about the next step, right? Because if season 5 would be considered, I would want every episode to reach good, bad, brother numbers and views. I don't like that. That's the most viewed episode of the podcast series. I feel like we can go higher. And be on equal footing for each one. So, Retro, with all this being said, so Retro, are you down for a future season 5? And this is just again, this is live and live, honest reaction, man. I have to see where you're at, and then I'll let you know how I feel from there.
Well, best be sure we will make sure that for season 5, we will not have the same intro like we have for the past 2 or 3 or so. Rest assured for that. So I'll be on board, and I think we have a lot more to discuss. And I think we'll go beyond more than just what we have talked about for the past few years. I think there will be some interesting, cool topics. I think new things are going to happen that we definitely will take up on. Maybe an obstacle in the sort, but I think I'll be looking forward to seeing the season 5. Um, it's been through up and down, but I think I like to keep this series going as long as possible.
All right. All right. Well, there it is, man. Again, like I said, we didn't discuss about this beforehand. I presented the idea with the topic, and then we kind of just went from there. So, I mean, if season 5 were to happen, it would be around the time season 3 starts, Street Fighter 6. So that would give us maybe a 2 to 3 month break, maybe. I
unless
predict.
unless Capcom's like,
Yeah, I predict. Huh?
unless Capcom is like, hey, in Summer Game Fest, season 3 starts right at the CEO. Nah, but yeah.
That would be very interesting. I mean, I anticipated it to be like, I predicted like season 3 to start like after April this year,
Yeah, yeah.
like maybe sometime in August,
Yeah, realistically, I can
September.
see that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I would see that would probably be like a good time to start it. So at least that way it gives everybody time to get used to the new patch and used to the character, and then we could kind of move in a direction from there. Because I'm sure there's going to be hundreds and hundreds of topics that get developed before then, and like newer stories and more new guests, and you just never know who we're going to end up speaking with. And that's what the kind of the goal was to give people the opportunity, give people an opportunity to talk and share their stories with the world. And this is what we were all about. Like you didn't have to. That's kind of like our theme here with the podcast. Is like we're also open to feedback and suggestions for improving the product. And remember that we always got to say you don't got to be legend ranked to kick it, man. You don't need to win a million tournaments in a row in order to be on a podcast. We are willing to talk as long as you're willing to share. All right, that's the most thing we could. That's the most we could ask for. The most thing we could ask for. We just need to arrange times. We need to arrange for dates that's more convenient for everybody, and then that way everybody can be on the same page and when we show up. One of the things I will say this, if we're doing like an open feedback session, and this is kind of just a tick, an ick, for me, like when people, like when we try to get people to get in onto the podcast, they agree to do the podcast. But then when it's time to actually show up, they no show. Either they no show or they don't respond back. That is kind of my biggest pet peeve about the whole process. Like it's just not responding after you agreed to do something. You kind of okay. All right. I'm not gonna say that. All right, you kind of making it seem like you're just fake or just using this as content or something to try to promote us or something. You kind of like you're not genuine and what you're saying. So my problem was if we're approaching you, if I'm asking you, and you agree to something, we in retro set the expectations that you're going to show up for it because you agreed to it. And when you agree to it and you don't show up or you stop responding to it, that just makes it seem like you're just fake to me. I don't like that. That's not. I would not want you to be on a podcast because you're not genuine. You're not genuine enough about that. If you didn't want to agree to do something, you could say no. Nah, no thanks. And like other people I've asked, they did. I asked them, they didn't really want to do it, and I said, okay, that's fine. You just move on to the next person, but don't agree to do something. We set a date, we set a time. Don't agree to something and just not show up for it. That's the biggest thing. And before I used to just let it slide, but now I'm at the point where it's zero tolerance. I'm not allowing that anymore. For this podcast series is to because I don't want to waste retro time. Because retro, on his end, he has to work on the intro, he has to put the clips together and things of that nature. And I don't want to waste retro's time, and for him to work on all of that just for someone to not know show. So in order to avoid that, I'm now asking you if I ask you, if retro asks you to be on a podcast, and you agree, just commit. Just commit. Commit to it. If the date doesn't work out, we can change the date. But don't agree to something if you know you're not going to follow through with it. That's the thing that pisses me off. So going forward, if we're going to do season 5, we're going to do it the right way. I'm not going to ask you a million times. I'm not going to keep DMing you, asking, hey man, you agreed to this date, or can you show up? We change the date. We get to that date, then you still can't show up. I'm just gonna keep moving. It's going to be a one time thing from here on out. I don't want to waste any more time on this because there are a lot of people who are willing to do it, who can do it, and we want to highlight them. Okay, and that was kind of my that was kind of my little thing I had to get off my chest there, man. Retro, what you got, man?
100% agree for sure. Like I said, definitely communication is huge key. I mean, obviously, as you can see, you know, please, definitely, we want to, because especially you guys want to hear your guys' voices, and I know you guys want to be heard about what you feel about the game, what you feel about the community, this, and that, third, and definitely, like I said, support what you claim to love. That's all I'm gonna say.
Mm. One more time, sir. I don't think they heard you, Retro. I don't think they heard you, man. I don't think they heard
Support what you claim to love.
you. It is right there. It is, man. Like, I mean, what more can be said? We don't ask too much for people. We ask you, if you agree to the time, a good 2 hour window that you're available to come and talk with us. And, we produce the episode, and we be done with it. We move on. It shouldn't have to go through all of these loopholes just to try to get you on the podcast. And I remember, and I promise you, Retro, this did happen. Someone said that I had to contact someone else to book them for their time. When I asked, I said, "Huh? Wait a minute, wait a minute. You want me to message somebody else to see when you are available to be on a podcast?" bro. I
Yep.
nearly my I was confused for the whole day. I was confused. There's no way I just read that. No way that I mentally just. There's no way I just saw that person type those words out, and they told me to hit up this person to schedule them to be on the podcast. I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know, but yeah, all we can do is try, man. That's the best thing we can do is try. We just want to be transparent and upfront about communication, man. We don't want to waste your time,
Mm-hmm.
and we definitely, we don't want our time to be wasted too as well. So if we hit you up for a podcast, just please be upfront and transparent with us about communication, and that's all we ask for. It's not too much. If you want to talk with us, you can come talk with us, but just to flake out and not respond to any messages that we send. Just be like, if you knew you weren't gonna do it from the start, just say no. You know, just say no, man. It's nothing wrong with saying that those letters put them together, man. No spells no. There's nothing wrong with that. But regardless, I think that's gonna conclude it for season 4, man. Retro here. You got any final thoughts before we move over to the ads?
Does thank you everyone who has been supporting our series from the get go, and who has jumped on board ever since then up until this very day, even rather. So I'm very grateful. I'm sure that Shadow Ace is grateful, as I'm grateful to him for allowing me to have the opportunity to get on board and actually, improve my craft on streaming, video editing, and everything else, and then even being more involved with doing topics with the amazing guests who I would definitely also thank once again for the opportunities they took to hop on here, say their piece, have some good laughs, some deep moments, make you think, makes you, go to sleep, have a different mindset, everything. Thank you guys so much, from the locals to the internationals. Thank you for the viewers from day one. Thank you guys so much for your support and everything, and especially even to the YouTube side. Thank you guys so much. Definitely have been amazing 4 years, 4 seasons of this awesome series. Like I said, definitely looking forward to the season 5. There are going to be some upgrades. I already mentioned one was the intro, and I have some more ideas in my head that there can be some changes. I mean, as much as there's going to be new change for the season 3 of Street Fighter 6, I think it's time for us to do the same thing as well on our end. Improve our craft, improve our time to whatever. And of course, like I said, we're going to take a little break. We're going to gather ourselves. Many of us are going to be traveling to CEO and a few other places in between. So that might get some opportunities for us to, learn something new while we're out and about. And, yeah, of course, I'm looking forward to the next adventure. But until then, thank you. You have my gratitude, everyone. Shadow Ace, thank you so much. The viewers, subscribers, thank you so much.
All right. Well, with that being said, man, GG's to everybody for rocking with us throughout this, especially if you've been with us since our day one, since season 1. Man, we appreciate you guys even more, man. But yeah, I think that'll conclude it for the season 4 here, man. Retro, what we got on these ads?
All right, our first one here that we got so far is that upcoming CEO, which is now about 2 weeks from now. Of course, many of the players, unfortunately not me, is included, is going to Orlando, Florida. Going to be an amazing resort I see there, and hope y'all guys get a chance to enjoy themselves. Y'all guys throw some hands, take some placements, and in the meantime, check out the beach, check out Disney World, the parks and stuff, and dip your toes in the sand. It'll be nice and hot for sure, as it's gonna be in Florida, but have a good time overall. So for those who are going, enjoy yourselves, and those who are watching, like me, definitely we're looking forward to support. So yes, looking forward to this, and of course, coming up soon, though, is Capcom and not Street Fighter, but had a resurgence. Tell me a little about this. By the way, of course, this is my side hobby, so I'll let Channel Ace tell you about this event first. About the Power Stone.
Okay, yeah, I was waiting for the show up there. Okay, there you go. All right, so yeah, so first off, the date is going to change because that's the same weekend as CEO. So we decided to change that date there. So it's actually going to be on the following Saturday after, on the 21st. Jacob Man is going to get that poster updated with the new date on there, due date and time. So with that being said, because it was CEO weekend, some of the players who could have entered could be going there instead. So we wanted to make sure we try to get as many people in as possible for this one. So we moved it to the following week there. But on the 21st, there it is right there. We have a Power Stone tournament going down. PSN version on there. I mean, this is why we were talking about earlier about what makes the game complete, man. Please add crossplay to the Capcom collection too. I cannot stress that enough,
Oh
man.
yeah.
The fact that the first one didn't have it is wild, but yo, this is out of control right now, man. This has so much potential, not even just this game, it's the other games too as well, man. I know a lot of the people wanted to run tournaments for the other games in the collection too, also, but it would help so much if crossplay was added to it. I mean, there's still a possibility, a chance for it, but because the first one didn't get that attention, that same attention, we were kind of pushing for the second one to get that same. Well, we were kind of pushing for the second one to get it. So I do hope that one day, in the future, that there is a crossplay patch to come towards the game, because if so, I think that'll dramatically change the landscape of the events, man, and it gets people more engaged in fighting games. And this is what you want. You want more people pressing these buttons, trying out these games, and building the communities. So Capcom, if you're listening to us right now, which I know one of your employees has before, listen to our podcast and was watching us. So look, man, if they're watching right now, please add that crossplay to the collection too, man. Add the crossplay, Doug. You got the Switch coming out, Switch 2 coming out. Maybe I don't know. Maybe they were waiting for the Switch 2 to come out. So I don't know. But anywho, please do so, because there's a lot of content to be had with that game, and it would bring in a lot more players to pick up the game too as well. So I know people were saying, "Man, nah, I was gonna buy it, but I found out it didn't have crossplay, and I kind of wanted to play this game with everybody else, but now I can't." So there you go. Uh, that's my message. But there is a Power Stone tournament going down in the Untamed Gaming Discord there, usual business affair. But that date is not. It will not be on the 14th. It's going to be moved towards the 21st. That following week, and once Jacob Man gets that updated, we'll get that updated graphic there for you. But yep. With that being said, retro, what we got after that?
Well, last but not least, of course, we have some events, but not Street Fighter related at the moment. So we're just taking the chill pill until we find some more advertisements, and then of course by then, we can start season 5. We'll have some more lined up. But of course, last but not least, just another reminder for Chavez to bring about the Maximo returning for sure.
Oh yeah, man. Maximo 2026 year three. Yeah, that year three of Max Mode in 2026. Definitely be running it back for sure. It's always a good time over there on the data side of things there, and this is their third year of production. I remember this was just a rumored concept idea, because we didn't have our major local anymore, so this definitely steps up to the plate and carries on that torch, that legacy of a homegrown rooted FGC related event in the Atlanta area. So Maximo does come back in 2026. All of the registration and detailed information will be up, most likely, probably around November, December ish. maybe September, could be around when season 3 starts. But regardless, though, yeah, we do have. Stay tuned for more information on that. Make sure you follow the Data FGC Twitter there for all of the updates and news.
All right. Well, that's it.
All right. Well, with that being said, GG's. Shouts to everybody that's been tuning in with us for season 4. Again, I'll have that tribute video up. I'll be working on that in the background there with UG's Jaco Man to get that up for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And just thanking everybody for our guests and continued support throughout this series. And who knows, there could be something towards the end of that video you might want to look out for. But with that being said, we are out the door. This has been the Street Fighter I Got Next podcast series, hosted by myself and Sir Retro. Myself, aka Modern Ace, and Sir Retro, aka the Mayor of Macon. This has been season 4. We are out the door, and we can't do no more for the season. So we're gonna, Sir Retro, what we got? Where you gonna send the good people out right now, man?
Well, before I do that, I'll say my last goodbyes to everyone. Thank you guys so much one more time. Shout out to my Mill Georgia FGC. Shout out to the Reboot. Swag Out Nerds. Shout outs to all the homies from all over the world. For sure, all the FGC family. Love y'all guys to death. See you guys next season for sure. I'm guaranteeing it. And of course, like I said, last but not least, support what you claim to love.